Strawberry shortcake, appleberry pie. Who's gonna be your lucky guy? That song is stuck in my head because today we are making strawberry shortcakes, but a rendition of it, strawberry vanilla lemon cakes. Very good, fresh strawberries cooked in a nice jam with fresh whipped cream as well. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our tin and butter it. So I'm not using paper tins because I don't want the wrinkles coming up. So I'm just gonna grab this tin, but butter it very, very well. You always wanna butter your pans early and preheat your ovens to 350 degrees before you get started. Because once the batter is ready, the more you leave it out, the more it's gonna cause a dome effect. So now that it's buttered, we're gonna start prepping our dry ingredients. Flour, of course. I'm gonna measure everything, and I recommend you measure everything as well, because when you bake, it's really, really important that you have really precise numbers. That's why I'm not a baker, because I'm a little bit lazy. As you can see, when I cook, I don't go precisely. So I have a scale here. I'm going to put it to 0, and then I am going to add 280 grams of all-purpose flour. To the flour, we're gonna add 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder. That's what we're gonna measure with our eye. Now that we have our dry ingredients prepped, we're gonna set it to the side and get started with our wet ingredients. So the reason this is called a vanilla lemon cake is because I'm actually gonna lacerate our sugar with lemon zest. I don't have a zester, so I'm just using a regular peeler, and I'm gonna try to get as much zest as possible, but I'm also gonna try to get one long piece of lemon, and that's gonna be for our finishing as well. Well, I love anything lemon. It just gives such a fresh and summery feel to it. This is a perfect thing to make in the summer. It's light, it's refreshing. It's honestly just beautiful. So once we've gotten some of our makeshift lemon zest in a bowl, I'm going to add 1 cup and 3/4 cups of sugar. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not sweet if it's not sugar, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and add the sugar in. Just regular fine grained sugar is good. I'm going to take the lemon zest. I'm going to put it into the sugar. And now I'm just gonna grab a glove. This is optional, but I find that the sugar gets in between my nails. I'm going to put on this glove. I'm just gonna go ahead and lacerate the lemon zest with the sugar. This is gonna give it a really, really deep lemon flavor, but not so much where it's overpowering, to the sense where you take a bite and you're like, is there lemon in here? Which is the perfect amount of lemon in my opinion. Now that our sugar is lacerated with that hint of lemon, we're gonna go ahead and add in 170 grams of room temperature butter. It's really important that it's room temperature because you really wanna whisk it and incorporate it to the sugar. So we're just gonna go ahead and add that in. So now I'm just gonna whisk it until it's light and fluffy. Obviously you can use a stand mixer for this. I just don't have one, so I'm gonna do it all by hand. Just gonna go until it's super light and fluffy. Now that our butter is nice and fluffy, I'm gonna go ahead and add in that 1 cup and 3/4 cups of sugar with lacerated lemon. And I'm gonna whisk that all up together and make sure it's really, really well incorporated. This is the base to any cookie, any cake, is the sugar, butter, or oil mixture. And once that's kind of incorporated, I'm gonna go ahead and add in some vanilla, which is really important because it's a lemon vanilla cake. So I do this by eye because can't really go wrong with too much vanilla. Now that we have our butter and our sugar all whipped up, it's time to put the eggs. Eggs are obviously one of the most important parts. I have 3 room temperature eggs here, and it's really important that everything is room temperature because when it cooks, it's gonna cook unevenly. If it's cold, it's gonna take longer to cook. So I'm gonna put in each egg at a time and whisk it in properly until it's just incorporated before I add in my other egg. So we have this egg in, it's pretty well incorporated. Now time for the next one. Again, going to make sure it's fully incorporated. And now our last egg. Now that our butter and our sugar is all mixed up, we're gonna start incorporating everything together. So I'm gonna grab another bowl. You don't have to do this. And I'm gonna move the sugar mixture into this bowl. This is a bigger bowl, so it's easier to use. And I'm going to add in some of our butter. And slowly, I'm going to add in our flour while whisking it in. And at the same time, I'm gonna go grab some milk. This could be buttermilk, this could be cream, this could be regular milk, or it could be water. And I'm also going to add this in. I'm just gonna slowly incorporate everything together. Once it's slowly incorporated, we're gonna keep going. You don't want to over mix flour because then it gets really glutinous and really chewy. If you ever had cake that was like pretty chewy, it's because they over mixed their flour. I'm going to add in more flour, and we're just going to repeat this process a few times until everything is really well combined. Now that everything is mixed up, we're going to go get our tin that we've prepped before, and we're gonna add everything to it. Now you'll notice this batter is thicker than most cake batters because we want it to be somewhat of a shortcake and somewhat of a regular cake. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in our batter to our tins. Not too much to overflow it because we are gonna cut it in half and then add our strawberries and add our whipped cream. So just about maybe 1/4 cup to each tin. And then I'm gonna pop that in the oven. And we're gonna cook that for about 15 to 20 minutes until it's nice and fluffy. So I'm gonna put this in the oven and I'll catch you guys back here to start on our strawberries. Now that the shortcake cake is in the oven, we're gonna get started with our strawberries. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna chop and lacerate some of our strawberries. So first things first, if you find any little cute ones, we're gonna keep them to the side to put as on top as garnish. Then we're gonna take some strawberries and chop them up pretty small, some big, because we want different chunks of strawberries when we bite into it. And then once we have our chopped strawberries, I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of our sugar mixture. Once we get our sugar mixture, I'm gonna just let the strawberries sit in that sugar so it lacerates and kind of gets a little bit more mushier. So we'll get our sugar. And I'm just gonna let this sit while I chop the rest of the strawberries. Now that we have everything prepared, you can see the sugar drew out the moisture from the strawberries, which is gonna help us cook. So now we're gonna put our lacerated strawberries into the pan first. And we're gonna let that cook down. And as it cooks down, slowly we're gonna add in more chunks in batches because we want some to be super mushy, we want some to be harder, we want just like an explosion of strawberries with every bite. Now that we're waiting for our strawberries to simmer, we're gonna get started on our whipped cream topping. So I put this bowl in the freezer so it's super cold and it's gonna help thicken up our whipped cream. So I'm going to put our frozen bowl down so my fingers don't warm it up. Now we're gonna get some whipping cream and we're gonna try to figure out how to open this. I've had a lot of issues opening things during this. Okay, there we go. I did it. And I almost, okay. I'm just gonna put it in because obviously it's not working for me. So I'm just gonna put some whipped cream into this bowl and I'm going to grab a whisk and whisk it by hand. Obviously you can use a stand mixer if you want, so it's a lot easier. But we're just gonna go ahead and whisk this in. And as it gets a little bit thicker, I'm gonna add some of our lemon sugar and some vanilla. So we'll see you guys in just a few minutes when my arm is almost broken from whisking so much. Now that our whipped cream is almost in stiff peaks, we're gonna go back to our strawberry mixture. As you can see, it has went down a lot and is almost in that jammy consistency. So now we're gonna add in our strawberries a little bit at a time. As I said, we want different types of textures when we eat it. So we're gonna bring this down. We're going to mix it all up and turn down the heat while we get back to our whipped cream. So we have it almost in peaks. This is regular whipped cream, so it's not gonna be sweet at all. So I'm gonna add in some vanilla and also some of the leftover sugar from our lacerated lemon. Now you want to add in granulated sugar because the other sugar, icing sugar, is just going to melt. So I'm going to whisk this all up. And we have pretty much all of our components ready. Now I'm just going to check to see if our cookies and cake are ready. Not cookies, cake. Thinking about cookies, too much sweets in my head. Okay, there we go. It's pretty much super tough. That's exactly how we want it, if you can see that. Very thick, but not thick to the point where it's becoming a butter. The cakes are done out of the oven and I already cut them in half. This is the bottom half of it. Now I'm gonna build it like a shortcake. So I'm gonna add some of our strawberry filling, just a little bit because it's gonna be really juicy and really good. So I'm gonna add about 2 chunks and I'm gonna drizzle it with a little bit of smaller strawberries, just like that, right in the middle, because I don't want it to fall over the edges. Then I'm gonna grab some whipped cream, whipped topping. I'm just going to slide it on top, just like that, making sure that it doesn't slide off. And I'm gonna grab the top half, place it on top. Now it's gonna squeeze out of the bottoms, but that's okay. There we go, as long as it somewhat stays. Now I'm gonna grab some more strawberries, place it on top, maybe a little bit of a drizzle, just to go around. Get some more whipped topping. And we're going to place this right on top, trying not to have it slide away too much. Now we're going to take one of the reserved strawberries, place it on top, and if you have some mint leaves, it just gives such a nice summer flair. So we're going to just pop a mint leaf there, and there you have our strawberry shortcake.